I was born with hypophosphatemic rickets. I was born premature. And the disease, rickets, hypophosphatemic, it causes a lot of pain, discomfort, and prevents the child from growing. It stops growth at the joints because the bone tries to grow but can't. When it tries, it hurts a lot because it bends the bone. And I had a lot of pain, a lot. And my hip joint didn't fit into the hip socket. That's when I started falling a lot. I fell a lot. Everything I tried to do, even walking, I was off balance and I would fall. I had a lot of falls, really bad ones. When my beloved father found out about my physical disability, for him, it was an immense source of personal shame and deep embarrassment. He would consistently try to conceal my presence from others, keeping me out of sight. He used very harsh, intensely strong, and deeply wounding words like the derogatory term cripple. Good for nothing. He always treated me with a lot of prejudice. A lot of prejudice. He didn't accept your condition. No, not at all, because all my other siblings were normal. I was the only one who was different from everyone else, very different from all of them. And I grew up in these conditions, hearing things, being pushed aside, not going to school. And once they took my siblings to get vaccinated, and my mother said, "What about Anna Maria? Aren't we going to take her?" He said, "No, leave her there. Who knows? Maybe if she catches it, the shame will be over." I had a bitterness in my soul, a deep bitterness. I didn't know why I had come into the world that way, why I was like that. I didn't want to be that way. I wanted to be normal. And this problem here affected my mind, and it was all a mess. So, what did I already wish for? What did I already feel like I was? A burden within that family. And as I grew up, that feeling grew with me. The pain from rickets, the bronchitis attacks got worse until one day a doctor, she went there to negotiate some cattle, some business with my father, and I took the opportunity and took a chance. I hid in her pickup truck and left with her. When we got there and she saw me, she was anxious, desperate, saying she was going to take me back to my father, to my mother, that she couldn't keep me. And I cried a lot, a whole lot, until she calmed me down and went back there with me. And when she came back talking to him, asking him to let me stay with her, that she would take care of me, my father said, "Just like that, you can take him, he's no good." The doctor there, she made a deal with my father over material possessions. I didn't really have a specific price. He didn't negotiate any amount. I was given to her for free. And when she took me to her house, the doctor, she enrolled me in school, because up until then, I still didn't know how to read. And at her house, the doctor arranged for a friend of hers to treat me, to do a surgery and improve my quality of life. And she brought me, she took me to Brasilia, handed me over to him at the base hospital where he started all the treatment. And during the second surgery, things got really complicated, because I came into contact with other patients who had an infection called osteomyelitis. And I caught that infection. During that period of 10 months of hospitalization, surgeries, and infections, it was very hard because there was no way to discharge me to anywhere since I had no relatives. Once again, I was left there abandoned, and there I spent Christmas and New Year's. Carnival, Easter, Mother's Day, all of them spent inside that hospital room. It was very hard. I longed for the most basic things. For me, even something like toothpaste, there was no one to ask for it. A bar of soap to take a shower, there was no one to ask, or even food. Not even a cheese bread was available. You see the city celebrating New Year's Eve, the city celebrating those things that you could hear it, right? Because I was up there on the 11th floor, way up high, I could hear and see the movement of the city. And there was no one, not a single friend to visit me. Until one day, who do I see coming through the door of that room, in that ward of the hospital? It was my father. I was so happy because he was there. And I asked him for some money so I could buy toothpaste, a bar of soap, and a cheese bread, because I saw other people getting visits from their families, the affection, and he said no. He said he hadn't even wanted to come, that he'd already spent too much on that trip, that he shouldn't have come at all, and that he had spent money and wouldn't give me any, that he wouldn't buy anything for me. And he didn't buy it. How was that for you? I was already there, practically dead. I can truly say there were tears, crying, and even blood. It was a truly devastating experience. It hurt so much. And then I was discharged. And now where to go? I had no relatives, no one at all, until someone gave me a place to stay and offered me help. I ate what was allowed and sometimes even what wasn't. There I was assaulted. There I felt, very alone. And one day, as I was going back to work, I was feeling very anxious and I saw the church sign. That day when I went in at the first meeting, I left there feeling like I was flying, floating. And I started attending the chains of prayer, and I started attending the chains, and my soul was still there. What else? Full of bitterness. About 2 years had passed, and I was still at the church, and a lot had improved. There wasn't a complete change, but things had gotten better. And I wanted a complete change because I wasn't whole. That wasn't it. I wasn't there because that was it. I already understood that Jesus had given his life for me, and Jesus had already forgiven me, but I couldn't forgive. When the Holy Fire campaign came, which talked about sacrifice, for me, the greatest sacrifice was to forgive my father. And I decided to give it up. Forgiveness for my father. But before I fulfilled the material sacrifice, as it says, leave your offering at the altar and go to your brother. I didn't go to my brother, no. I went to my biological father, my dad, to ask him for forgiveness. I traveled, went there, arrived, and said, Dad, I went to his house, which was far from my mother's neighborhood. I came here to ask you for forgiveness. He broke down. Right then he said, I'm the one who needs to ask you for forgiveness. We hugged, cried a lot, and I went back. I fulfilled my financial sacrifice just as I had promised God, because the greatest sacrifice I had already made. I went there and made the sacrifice, the financial one as well. And when I went up, they didn't come back. I felt such a truly great and profound peace, so immense that there's no way to explain it in words. At that very moment, right then, the divine Holy Spirit came. I was being born again. I was born. I wasn't born of the Spirit. I was born of the Word. I was born of Him. At that moment, for me, it didn't exist disability. I was the most perfect person in the world, and I am the most perfect person in the world. For me today, what people think or say, for me, it wasn't like that. A no, I already have. What I want is a yes. The yes He gives me. When it's His will, He gives me the yes. As much as it is His will, because sometimes we want something so much, but we have to know, is it His will? Does He want this for me? Is it good for me? But He made me perfect. I am perfect. When He reached out His hand, today I am much more than a conqueror. I have a family, I studied, I passed, I became, through a competitive exam, a federal public servant. My mattress, my mother used to sew it. You know those burlap sacks? She would fill one side and the other with corn husks. Today I have my own house. What did God do for me? He took me from the ashes, from the mud, from the dust, and put me where? up there among the princes, right? But all that I achieved, Pastor, that's not the most important thing. No. The most important thing in all of this, upon reflection, is the life that Jesus gave me, His Spirit. I gave Him a bitter, dead, sad, suffering, depressed soul. And today, what do I have? A clean, freed soul. It's the soul, yes, that shines with His glory here on earth,